a Vort of the Rebbe in this week's Parshas Terumah. In Parshas Terumah, we learn that Hashem commanded the Eden to donate for the building of the Mishkan. And when it came to the metals, to the precious metals, Hashem said they should give Zohar, Kesef, and Cheshes, gold, silver, and copper. And they used these things for building the Mishkan. And the Rebbe asked the question, why would they have to use copper? Why didn't they make everything of gold? Or maybe even silver, but why copper? We know the Gemara says that in the Beis HaMikdash, ein aniyus b'mokem ashiras. There's no poverty when it comes to a place of richness, which is the Beis HaMikdash. That's why even small things like giving the animal to drink before they shechted it, they would use a vessel of gold. Because when you're in the Beis HaMikdash, everything should be special and precious. So why did they use Necheshes, also copper, in building the Mishkan? And the Rebbe says, let's look at it in the Beruchnis Inyonim. So let's analyze these three metals. Gold is the most precious metal. On the other hand, gold has a chesron that it's not usually used as currency. You use it to buy it, but it's not used as currency of a way of the commerce. Silver is not as precious as gold. On the other hand, there's a mila that's what's used as currency. Copper doesn't have either mila. It's not such a precious as the other two, and also it's not used as currency usually. So the Rebbe says, Beruchnias, these three represent three types of Yidden. Gold represents the highest level. Who's the highest level? So we know that the Baal Tshuva is the highest, higher than a tzaddik. The Gemara says in the Rambam Paskans, "B'mokem shebal tshuva eimdim, tzaddikim gmurim einam eimdim rein v'chein lamed." The level of a Baal Tshuva, tzaddikim can't stand. So gold, which is the highest of the precious metals, represents Baal Tshuva. Silver represents tzaddikim. It's not the highest because tzaddikim are not the highest, Baal Tshuva the highest. So it's not as precious as high as gold, but it's also something special. And also, that is usually used as currency. That's used to do business. Because that's what the normal thing is. In other words, the most common use is silver. Because that's why it represents tzaddikim. That's the way it is supposed to be. See, gold is even greater. But gold is not used as currency. Because gold represents a Baal Tshuva. Baal Tshuva is not something which is normal. We don't want that to happen. If a person doesn't evade it, then he has tshuva, he becomes the higher madrega. But that's not the general way it's supposed to be. So that's not the commerce. It's not used enormously as currency, but it shows a higher madrega. So gold shows Baal Tshuva, silver shows tzaddikim, and copper shows rishoyim. It represents rishoyim, because copper is the lowest, and also we know the word necheshes comes from the root word of nochash, snake, which reminds us right away of the Nochash HaKadmoni, the first snake who brought evil into the world. So that's a Rishoyim. And that's what the Eibusha said, you should use to build the Mishkan, Kesef, Zohar, Kesef, and Cheshes. Because this is for everybody. Building the Mishkan, which means doing things to elevate the Gashmis. The Beis HaMikdash was made of physical things and was elevated to become a holy place. So it represents doing mitzvahs where we take gashmizik things, like we take leather and make it into tefillin, wool, to tzitzes and matzah, we elevate all these things to mitzvahs. So that's what is represented by the building of the Mishkan. So the Eibusha said, this idea is shayches to everybody. Tzaddikim, Baalei Tshuva, and even Rishoyim, which means a person who did Averis, and he didn't do Tshuva yet. We still tell him, continue doing mitzvahs and elevate the Gashmis Teruchnias. He didn't do tshuva yet, so we want him to do tshuva. That's going to happen afterwards. And also we know that if a person learns Torah and does the right thing, this will bring him to the tshuva. The Rebbe paskans in Hilchas Talmud Torah that even a Rosha has to learn Torah. And it says in Yerushalmi, HaMoyer sheba machzir l'mutiv. If a person is a Rosha, but he learns Torah, the light of Torah will make him turn to good, and he will become good. And that's the reason why the Mishkan was made of all three, to represent that all three categories of Yidden are shayach to the Mishkan.